After a week of no updates for Counter-Strike 2, we finally received another update, which is really great to see. This one is relatively large in size and addresses a bunch of issues. I'm not entirely sure if Valve waited specifically for the tournament to end or if they are working on a bigger update. I guess only time will tell. Regardless of that, let's start today's video, and as always, of course, the timestamps are in the description down below. Let's start off with the gameplay related changes. We've received some sub-tick timing improvements to various systems, including the grenade for animations and the revolver firing. Unfortunately, I was unable to notice any major differences with this patch, so if you know more about it, feel free to leave a comment down below. Valve also finally addressed the missing fire effect to Molotovs in the third person view, which you can see on screen right now. This was pointed out by players for quite some time now, and I'm pretty happy that they finally added it. Moving on to the animation changes, this time around we have a lot of improvements for the character animations, which is really good to see. Valve reduced the amount that player characters will rotate their torso away from the leg orientation, which you can see on screen right now. We also received some improvements to the hit reactions, as well as jump animations now being directional. They've made some improvements to the character posing when aiming up and down, as well as improving the foot placement and posing when running. They've also ended up reducing the animation posing when deploying, which you can see on screen right now. If you don't notice a difference, pay attention to the legs, which were previously moving all over the place. After this update, they're kind of stationary, which I think is a lot better than before. And lastly, the timing of a player's flashbang posing now more accurately represents the player's ability to see, which is really great to hear. Moving on to the sound patch notes. Valve addressed an issue with the shadow daggers playing the catch sound during the looping inspect animation, which was pretty annoying to be honest. We've also received some further adjustments to the fall of distance curves and volume of grenade bounces. Take a listen for yourself. We've also received a bunch of bug fixes as well as some lowered volumes for certain sounds, as an example the lobby chat notification sound. Valve also increased the audible distance of breaking glass window sounds, which previously didn't travel too far, as well as a few other changes which you can see on screen right now. Before we move on to the map changes, let's briefly talk about the miscellaneous patch notes. We've received a lot of adjustments of the wear values for most tournament stickers as well as many other stickers to better match CSGO. But those were not the only changes that were introduced with this update, as some gloves have once again received some adjustments. One pair in particular I would like to highlight are the Nuke gloves, which in my opinion have received a pretty significant upgrade and now look really great in comparison to before. So good job Valve. And the console should now behave similar to how it did in CSGO. Before this update, if you were using non-default console key bindings, if you were trying to type with that console key, the console would just close and then open again, which has been fixed with this update. Last but not least, let's go over all of the map changes. This time around we've received changes to Nuke, Mirage, Office, Vertigo, Anubis and Ancient. Starting off with Nuke, they fixed the glass floor material at bombsite B, which previously didn't have any impact effects. We've received some fixes for the footstep sounds on the hazard stripes, which previously had the railing sounds. They've also tried to fix the light leaking through the base of the doors at bombsite B, as well as fixing shadows leaking through the double doors. And we've also received some adjustments to the red interior walls, which have now been brightened. And this is of course supposed to help with visibility. Mirage has received some adjustments to its bomb sites, which now have these visual boundaries. They fixed the collision on the scaffolding on bomb site A, as well as clipping off the fridge in the apartments on bomb site B, most likely because before this update players were getting stuck in this specific location. They've also changed the clipping on the van on bomb site B, which now makes this jump fairly easy to do, as well as adjusting a few other things. Offers received a lot of clipping improvements, as well as adding back the collision to the handrails. And these crates were also adjusted with this update. Vertigo has received a lot of clipping adjustments and fixes, as well as the staircase being extended near T-spawn. Anubis has received a similar treatment, where a lot of the patches are addressing clipping issues, which is really great to hear. This update also addresses some of the micro gaps or holes in the map. As an example, one of those was near T-spawn. And last but not least for Ancient, Valve addressed various gaps in the world. One of those was in the middle of the map. They closed the gap in this location here, as well as adjusting a lot of the clipping issues. As an example, around the tree base on A side, which previously was pretty rough to be honest, as well as along the fence near A side. And last but not least, let's talk briefly about the inspect animations for grenades, which have recently received some changes. You're no longer able to spam the inspect animations for the grenades as you used to before this update, which is quite interesting. This, like I said, wasn't mentioned anywhere in the patch notes, but it is just something I noticed recently. Anyways, that's already going to conclude today's video. I hope it was enjoyable and informative as always. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I will see you of course in the next one. Bye guys.